Good day everyone. Within this video I will be demonstrating how to install Windows deployment services and also configuring Windows deployment services. So to begin, under the server manager dashboard you want to go into manage, add roles and features, and here you would click next. You would click add role based or feature based install. You want to select the server you'll be adding the role and feature to. So it is set default to my server, so I'll click next here. Under server rules you want to look for and highlight Windows deployment services. Here a pop-up would come up saying to add features that are required for Windows deployment services. You want to click add features for this, then you hit next. We don't want to add any additional features, so you would click next. Here it gives you an overview on what Windows deployment services is about, and it also gives you a few prerequisites under things to note. After reading up on that information, you want to click next. Here you want to select, here it is already highlighted of the roles that will be installed, which is deployment server and transport server. Under these it gives a description as to what exactly it is, and in order for deployment server to work it also need the transport server, which will also be added. It also gives a description on what that transport server is about. You click next. Here it gives you a confirmation about the installation that you're about to install. It is recommended to select restart the destination server automatically if required. So in the case that during install a restart is required, it will automatically do so. After checking that, you want to confirm by saying yes, and you want to begin the installation process after. Alright guys, after the installation has been completed, a little message pops up here saying installation succeeded on, and it states your server, the name of your server. So after that you want to click close. Under the server dashboard we see that WDS has been added to the left here, which stands for Windows Deployment Services. If you scroll along you'll also see it here listed under servers. So we finished installing Windows deployment services. The second step now is to configure the Windows deployment services. So in order to do that, from the dashboard you would click on tools and you would scroll down to Windows deployment services, which has now been added. Here now you want to expand servers, and we see we have these deployment services installed on my server, which is the name of my server, and you would want to note that it has a caution sign saying Windows deployment services is not configured. In order to configure this, you want to right click on the server and click configure server. It has a before you begin screen here stating some prerequisites that are to be met before continuing. In my past videos I would have already shown how to add an Active Directory domain service, how to configure DHCP, and also DNS server. If you have not done so, you can feel free to view the playlist and select the required videos to learn how to get those things done. In my case I already completed all of those prerequisites, so I would be clicking next. In my case, I would be sticking with integrated with Active Directory, since this server is a member of my Active Directory domain services. I'd click next. Here you want to enter a path for the remote installation folder. The remote installation folder will contain the image file and the boot files for deploying Windows installations to client machines. Microsoft recommends selecting a disk separate from the disk that you already have your Windows installed on, because these image files in particular can be very large. But because this Windows server is installed within a virtual machine using VirtualBox, I only have the C drive to use. As you can see, if I click browse, this is all that I have for this setup. I only have my local disk drive. So I would leave it as that. It has a caution warning here, basically saying that remote installation folder should be stored on a separate volume, and where possible on a separate disk from the system volume. So because I do not have a separate disk to continue to store the remote folder in, I would have to leave it as that and click yes. At the proxy DHCP server, here you want to ensure that these two boxes are checked off and click next. Here are some additional settings. The first one says do not respond to any client computers, respond only to known client computers. Here I would respond to all client computers, in my case, unknown and known, but I would check this box off now, which would require an administrator approval for those computers that are unknown. And I would click next. Alright, we have a little message here saying the service did not respond to the start or control request in a timely fashion, but the configuration bar is finished. So I'd click finish, and here we can now see it has been configured. We have our install images and our boot images. These are the two most important images we need for deploying the Windows, for the deployment services. Because of that message saying that it has failed to start in a timely fashion, you can right click here and click all tasks and click start. So it would actually start the service. Alright, successfully started Windows deployment services. Right, so now we have, if you had noticed before, this little icon wasn't highlighted green, so now it is highlighted green. Alright, the next step now is to actually add an install image and a boot image. So what we want to do, in order to do that, you would hit this drop down and you would right click on install images and you'd click add image here. But before I continue with this, I actually have to load my my Windows operating system this image, because that is where we will be pulling the image from. We will be pulling the install image and the boot image from that. So since I'm using VirtualBox, I would have to go to there, and under Windows Server 2019, under storage for my optical drive, it is currently empty. So I would select that, I would choose a disk image, and I would select my Windows 7 ISO file and click open. Alright, now I would minimize this and I would go to my File Explorer just to make sure it is there. I would go to this PC. Right, so here I have my optical disk drive image booted, or mounted I should say. Now I can add my image file and boot this file. So I would minimize this and I would go back to my Windows deployment services. Now I can right click on install image, click add image. Here I would give it a meaningful name. I'll name it Windows 7 image. Click next. You have to locate the file location. You could either enter it manually if you know it by heart, or you can click browse. So I'll be coming into my CD drive that I mounted my Windows 7 image on. You want to go into sources, and for the install image you'll be clicking this file, install.wim. Hit open. That brings it to the file here. Now after selecting the install file, you want to hit next, and here now it gives you a summary of what actually the file entails. So this is the name of the file, and the description is Windows 7. I would keep this check, use the default name and description for each of the selected images, and I would hit next. Here's the summary. You want to hit next after, and here it is actually adding the image file now. Alright guys, the operation is complete. The selected images were successfully added to the server. After this, you want to hit finish. Here we can see the Windows 7 image, which I named it to be, has added the actual file here, which we can see. Next up, you want to add the boot image. So you want to right click on boot image and you want to add boot image. The boot image is important for actually creating the environment for installing the image file we just created. So here the boot image file would be located in the same source folder within where I found the install image. So I'm gonna go back there now, right, and it is right here. You want to make sure and select boot.wim. That is the boot image file. Click open, hit next. I'm gonna give it a meaningful name, so I would name it Windows 7 boot image. Hit next. Here it gives me my summary, and it gives me the name that I just changed it to. I'm satisfied with that, so I'll click next, and here we can see it is creating the boot image. Alright, the operation is completed. The selected images were successfully added to the server. Hit finish, and under boot image, well, inside boot image, I have this file here, which I named it Windows 7 boot image, and here was my install image. Alright, and that brings me to a close to this video. As usual, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.